Hello, everybody, and welcome to lesson 4 in Get Out of Debt for Good, the ultimate guide to paying off debt and never getting back in debt again. So, lesson 4 is all about tracking your budget. It is the nuts and bolts, it is deciding on a method, sticking to a method. Let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Let's get going, guys. Okay. Here we go. Can you see that? Okay, great. All right. Lesson 4, tracking your budget. Before you start this lesson, and I know I've said this a lot, before you start this lesson, please do your homework from the last lessons. You should have your numbered long-term priorities, your target bottom line amount for this month and next month. So what are you targeting for your bottom line amount? What are you targeting for your goals? You should have a change in how you're spending your money because you are focusing on your daily priorities and how they feed into your monthly priorities. You should have your top 3 values written out and you should have reflected on how they reflect in your budget. Anyway, I wanted to first mention you're getting closer to debt free. Please remember to take any questions to your group financial coaching sessions. You get 2 per month for the 6-month subscription. So please take advantage of that and do it. Let's celebrate your successes so far. You have figured out what your next step is. You have a budget. You know what you need to focus on in that budget, whether it's income, essential expenses, or fun money. You're starting to make value-based money decisions. Really, that is a huge change in mindset. And you're either catching up on bills, saving your first $2,000 emergency fund, or paying off debt with laser sharp focus. Now it's time to make this a little easier. Okay. And you might have thought that the last few lessons were hard. You might have thought they were easy. Let's make it a little easier. It's time to start talking about tracking your expenses. Okay. Have you noticed? I'm sure you've noticed that tracking and categorizing your expenses is a little like pulling teeth, right? What did you spend? I don't know. Maybe you have to go into the banking app or the credit card app. You know you need to do it. Time keeps marching on. It's getting more and more painful. And now you're sitting down going, I don't know, how many things did I buy? Where did I go? Wendy's? Like, how am I going to categorize that? I really just don't want to look at it. Well, maybe you still haven't done it because it hurts. Let's take that hurt away. All right, let's do it. Let's change that. When it comes to tracking expenses, you have a few options. And just as a side note, I actually don't care which of these options you choose, as long as you choose one and stick to it for 3 months before switching to something else. So listen closely at the options that I'm going to present to you, and then pick one and stick to it. Okay, here are your options: pen and paper in a notebook, a budget planner, or a checkbook. Somewhere, pen and paper. Every time you buy something, you write down, okay, I went to Target, it was for groceries, and you put it on your pen and paper, a budget planner, or in your checkbook. Okay, you write it down somewhere, same place every time. I have, I kind of do it. I do it to show people, but I use the online method. So you can use some online methods. You can do it online manually, semi-manually, or mostly automatically. And we're going to get into that too. Let's dive into each of these methods. Using a pen and paper is using a notebook, a checkbook, or a planner. Here are the pros. You're immediately aware of how much you're spending because you wrote it down. All right, you're immediately aware of it. Some people keep their notebook in their car. So every time they go somewhere, they write down, okay, here's how much I spent. Here's how much I have left. You have those 2 columns. How much was it? How much do you have left? The other pro, you check your budget every time you spend. So you know, okay, how much do I have? And it builds in this discipline that will discourage you from shopping. So it's a little hard. So it builds in some discipline to discourage you from shopping. Here are the cons. You need to write everything down and do math immediately. Okay. So that's a huge con. There's a physical object to carry around with you. And here's another con, it's completely manual and doesn't give you a larger view. It doesn't roll anything up automatically. So here are your online. So just notice those pros and cons And if the pros outweigh the cons for you, great. If it seems like it's too hard, then do something else. Here are your online options. You can use mint.com. That's that first one here. Or you can use You Need a Budget. That's what it looks like over here. You can use Every Dollar. That's Dave Ramsey's budgeting app or Ramsey's Solutions budgeting app. Or you can use your bank account budgeting app if your bank has one. So I think this one is a Bank of America budgeting app. So some banks actually have them, which is kind of nice. I'm going to go into the pros and cons. So using an online budgeting app, here's the pros. You can log in and categorize transactions whenever it's convenient. And I'll tell you what, we're going to go into creating that routine for categorizing transactions, but I just do it when I'm on the toilet. I know, isn't that gross? Ew, gross. People kind of go, oh, I don't want to talk about that when I say that. I do it when I'm on the toilet. I go in and I say, okay, is anything not categorized properly, or, not sitting in the uncategorized bucket? And I just do it. It takes me 20 seconds. Then another pro is some programs learn your categories and send out notifications. So Mint, You Need a Budget, they will learn your categories and try to auto categorize it. And they'll send out notifications like, hey, I see that your grocery bill is overspent. You want to look at that? And sometimes it's something that's miscategorized, and sometimes it means that you're actually overspent. So another big pro, it's a little easier. It's more automatic and less manual. Here's a con. It can be too easy enough to forget to do it. So you think that it's just going to budget for you. Nobody's going to budget for you. You have to budget for yourself. And some apps like Every Dollar, they're not automatic and they miscategorize transactions. Mint.com miscategorizes transactions too. You Need a Budget is very, very automatic, but it's also weirdly manual. Technology can be frustrating and not work sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't hook up to your bank account or your credit card. So it can be frustrating. That's why they have Mint.com is free actually with ads, or you can pay to have the ads removed. And I just keep the ads and ignore them. So I use Mint, I use You Need a Budget. I have used Every Dollar in the past, and my bank has a budgeting app, but I kind of just don't care. So another con is you need an internet connection, but a lot of times you can do it on your phone and use your phone data or Wi-Fi connection or whatever. So here's the question: paper or online? And I want you to know, whichever you choose, you need to be consistent and disciplined. It doesn't matter if it's totally manual, semi-manual, semi-automatic, or totally automatic. None of these are actually totally automatic, just mostly automatic. Like Mint.com and You Need a Budget are mostly automatic. But here's the thing. You need to stick to your choice for 3 months before trying something else. And why the magical 3 months? People say that. Why the magical 3 months? Well, because it takes 3 months to build a discipline. And if you're disciplined, you pick paper and you're disciplined to categorize your transactions in paper, and you decide to switch to an app, you're going to have another learning curve, but you'll be more disciplined to do it. Anything is going to seem easy to you and second nature after 3 months. That's why the 3 months. Now let's talk about building your routine. Because I told you I categorize our expenses on the app. Doesn't really, sometimes I'm there. I'm in all different places. Let's just say that I'm in all different places when I do it. Tracking your budget is essential to getting out of debt. You need to know what you're spending and how you're spending it in order to get out of debt. It is absolutely essential. That is why from lesson 1, I asked you to track your expenses. From lesson 1, I asked you to start. We are now at lesson 4, and it's getting a little bit easier. Okay. It's going to feel worse, but it gets easier. You can't pay off your debt if you don't know how much money you have to pay it off. If you're not tracking your expenses, you're going by your gut. How has that worked for you so far? Going by your gut. How did that work for you? It's kind of rhetorical. It didn't work well. So let's build this routine. The best way to stay on top of your budget is to start a habit. As you know, starting a habit is hard. So let's make it part of your routine. Here's what I want you to do. Number one, pick your method, paper or online app. Pick an online app or pick a paper method. One of them, pick one. Then figure out the day of the week or the time of day you'll review your transactions. You need a plan. Then once you know when you're going to do it, set an alarm to do it. Okay, set an alarm, put it in your calendar, set an alarm on your phone, set a to-do that has a pop-up somehow. And I have a little video that shows you how to do that if you don't know how to do that. But set an alarm on your phone. Then set up your recording or categorizing station and your tools, paper or an app. So you know how you're going to do it. Basically model it out. So if it's on your phone, if you're using your phone, great. All you need is your phone. Download the app. You have it. If you're using a pen and paper or you're using one of my budgeting books, the pen and paper budgeting books, great. Have it at your budgeting station and categorize your expenses. Okay. Now here's a big thing. Remember your vision, the future you're building. Why are you building it? What are you looking forward to? Every time you categorize your expenses, you're seeing how you're tracking. You're seeing if you're building your vision. You're seeing if you're laying a foundation, if you're making progress. Now, you may not have known it, but you are walking down a road. You were walking down a road until now, and now you've turned around and you're walking back. Okay, you were walking down a road toward bankruptcy or toward financial hardship, and you've made the decision to turn around and walk back. You have to go through the same road. It didn't take you overnight to build what you already have or build the debt that you have. Unless it's medical debt, then it might have. But it didn't take you overnight to build that. It's going to take you some time to get out of it. So do the hard work, categorize the expenses. And actually, I have a little video on categorizing expenses or using all, some of the different apps that I use. It's not actually that hard. People psych themselves up to make it really hard. They tell themselves, oh, it's going to be hard. This is like pulling teeth. This is very difficult. Once you start doing it, it's actually remarkably simple. And it doesn't take that long. I told you it takes me like 20 seconds to do it. And that's because I just go in like about every other day to check our finances, to check our transactions and expenses. And I go through and say, okay, well, that charge hasn't come in yet. Or really, Mint, you categorize this as restaurants? That's charity or what have you. And I put it back to where it should be. So as you're going through this, as you are, take the psychological weight off. It's not that hard. You are building the future you want to have. What are you looking forward to? That's what you're building right now. Now, tell me what will happen if you set up a budget, but you don't track your expenses. If you set up a budget, and some people have tried this before they come to this course, set up a budget and don't track your expenses. Will you follow your budget if you don't know where you are and what you're doing? Will you get to the future you're looking forward to? No, guys, no. Your future self needs you to track your expenses. Your future debt-free self is excited that you learned how to do this, excited that you put together a routine, excited that you put those reminders in your phone, set an alarm, that every time you take your post, every time you're on your lunch break, you're in categorizing your expenses. Your future debt-free self is so stoked that you have this routine now. And that future you is looking forward to categorizing your next expenses, because that future you has a full emergency fund in your account, in your checking and savings account or money market account. That future you is saving up for a vacation and is saying, okay, if I just spend less here, then I'll have more to put toward my vacation. That future you is stoked that you are building this habit right now. Learning to consistently look at your money to figure out where it's going and change your decisions is hard. So is being in debt. Being in debt is harder. Living paycheck to paycheck is harder. So pick your hard. Pick your hard, guys. The other side is worth it. Your future self is worth investing in. You are worth investing in. Okay? You are. And you're doing that right now. So a few emotions. All right. When I'm working through with some clients on this, a few emotions crop up when you're starting to track your spending. All right. And this might have popped up when you first did your first budget with that review, decide, review, and you were reviewing your spending. But now you're on a budget and you're trying to track it. And a few emotions come up. And they could be frustration, anxiety, stress, listlessness. Like I don't want to do it. So I'm just gonna clean my room and I'm gonna clean the kitchen and look, my house is now spotless and I have no more reason to avoid tracking my debt. That's listlessness. Okay. And so they'll come up with reasons and start power washing the outside of the house. Okay. I've seen that. Don't stop. It doesn't take that long. Sit down, do it. Impatience, wanting to get to that next step, wanting to pay off that lowest debt faster. Great. Use it. Or hopelessness. And that one's hard. Come to the group coaching sessions. We can help. But also, I see these, and this is after the first month, all right? After the first month, after you get over that hardest hurdle and you go into the second month and the third month, and then it really starts growing on the fourth month and the fifth month, you start getting excited and happy and like a little nerdy. People let their nerd flag fly, all right? And they start feeling hope that they can really get out of debt. And they start being patient, maybe still a little impatient, and they use that and they've picked up a side job or a side hustle. And they also start feeling peace when they track their expenses. They log into Mint or You Need a Budget or Every Dollar or what have you. And they look at their budget and go, yeah, I am doing well. Good. I'm going in the right direction. And I feel that peace. So go from this to this. And the only way to go from frustrated or anxious or stressed out or listless or impatient or hopeless is to do it. The only way is to do it. So go track your expenses and I'll see you on the other side. I'll see you in group coaching. I'll see you when you're feeling the first set, when you're feeling those negative emotions. Come to group financial coaching. You get 2 sessions. Come. We can help you through those emotions. We can show you. Now, I also want to mention this, and I know I've mentioned it before. When you start tracking your budget, you'll start to notice a lot of charges that you weren't expecting. This happens to everyone. Okay, that doesn't mean you're not making the charges. Sometimes you are, sometimes you aren't. So let's plan for that. All right, you'll notice that things are coming up that you didn't expect. That happens every time. If you haven't yet, please create a stuff I forgot category in your budget. That's where you'll put everything you forgot to account for. Sometimes you won't touch it, and that's great. That's more on your bottom line to put towards your next goal. And sometimes you'll need more than what's in there. When you need more money than your budget has room for, you need to stay flexible. And so let's talk about that flexibility, okay? A flexible budget is all about behavior. It's all about behavior. So a lot of people, when they start to budget, they look at it and they think they've created a project plan. Now, I know a lot of project managers, and some junior project managers will come up with a project plan. And when things don't go according to plan, they freak out. I mean, with a capital F in, highlighted, freak out because things are off plan. But a senior project manager, somebody who's been there for a while, who's done it for years, they look at that and go, okay, great. Let's adjust. Things come up. I knew we were going to get off track somewhere. So they build in some flexibility and they start to find where they can find time or money or resources or whatever it is. People, work, they start to figure out what can be flexible in that budget. And if they're really senior, they already know what can be flexible. So here I am, senior budgeter, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. Let's take a look at the food budget. You'll notice that groceries are in essential expenses and eating out is in fun money. Okay. There's probably a budget for each category. All right. We talked about fun money. Don't starve yourself of fun money or it's not going to work out. So you probably have some in your fun money. Now, both categories are about food, right? Groceries and eating out. Eating out costs at least 3 times as much. At least it's usually 5, 6, 7, sometimes 20 times as much as making it at home. They do the same thing for us, don't they? They feed us. They pay for food to eat. I cheat on my eating out budget sometimes. Now, I never, it's a funny thing to say that I'm cheating, but in this regard, it's a good thing, right? I cheat on my eating out budget. And here's what I mean. I leave that budget until the very end of the month. Maybe I'll use a little bit of it, but not very much. And I'll leave it. And so if when I'm grocery shopping, I either see a really great deal on meat that I can stock the freezer with, or maybe food prices are getting higher, or we have spontaneous get-togethers and they tend to cost me money, right? Because people say, hey, can you make your famous whatever? Then I'll take that from the eating out budget. Because I thought I already spent all of our grocery budget, but now we have this get together and people asked for my homemade fruit salad or whatever. And if you follow me, you know my thing about fruit salads. I make a good one and it also costs a lot of money. So it was an eye-opening thing for me in my early 20s, how much a fruit salad costs. So I will then figure out where I can be flexible. And I'll take it from the eating out budget and give it to the grocery budget. That's budget flexibility. I always keep some fun money until the end of the month so I can steal from it, okay, and put it in an essential category if I need to. Maybe it's gas, maybe it's food, whatever it is. Maybe it's heating because it's suddenly everything is a lot more expensive. So I will take it from a luxury item or a fun money category and put it toward an essential item. And then I'll just try to do a little bit better. Okay. And we can all try. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That was a lot of information. All right, let's recap. We covered choosing how to track your finances. So choosing that paper and pen or online, and then choosing within those what you're going to actually do. Then we covered building a routine to track your finances, whether that is Monday and Friday or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whether that's Saturday morning and Wednesday morning, at least twice a week. You heard it here, at least twice a week, track your finances and put a reminder in your phone. And then we also covered emotions and building in flexibility for your budget. So when you build in that flexibility and your budget isn't something that is inflexible, that is something that you must follow to the cent, all of a sudden it gets a little bit easier because you can say, okay, I don't need to spend that amount of money. I allocated it there, but I can take from there too. It's all your money and you can only spend it once. So here's your homework. Pick the method, paper or online, that you want to use to track your budget. Then set it up and commit to using it for at least 3 months. Okay, at least 3 months. Then create a twice weekly. I know this says weekly. Don't wait until once a week or you're just not going to want to do it. So create a twice weekly routine to track your spending. I actually do it every other day. Now, then create an alarm, a notification, or a calendar appointment so you actually categorize your spending. Actually do it. Build it into your calendar, build it into your schedule, make it a routine. And then 3 is build flexibility into your budget. Save some fun money for the end of the month. Build a stuff I forgot category. Okay. This whole lesson is about tracking your spending with the right method and in a healthy and productive routine. It takes about 3 months to master budgeting, tracking, and looking ahead. That's why I say pick one method and stick to it for 3 months. And if you need help or have questions, please join the group financial coaching sessions. We're here to help you get out of debt for good. Okay, so before you start the next lesson, you should have your budget tracking system set up and running. You should have a notification, alarm, or calendar appointment to keep you tracking your budget on a schedule, and a system to keep flexibility in your budget. Budgeting is entirely personal. That's why they call them personal finances. It's personal to you. So your tracking system, your routine, and your flexibility system is all about you and what you do with your money. Now, I have seen budgets that look totally different from other budgets. That's okay. It's personal. It is you and it fits your life. Make sure your budget and your system and your tracking system fit your life. All right. I will see you in group coaching and I'll see you in the next lesson. The next lesson is all about relationships and giving. I'm really excited about it. That is a hard lesson. That is a big lesson for people to learn. So I will see you in that lesson.